Well, hello, friends and neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here. Welcome out to the deck. The cool fall air has crept in, and I think I'll shoot a few more peated scotch, but we're about to have Canadian Thanksgiving this Monday, so I thought, I better put a few Canadians on the shelf to consider. So today we're going to talk about Wayne Gretzky 99, but this is their maple cask. So we'll talk about why it's maple cask and kind of the nose and taste of this available, a little bit sweeter whiskey when we come back.
3, 4.
Well, thanks for staying with me. I have reviewed on the channel, red cask and ice cask and the 99 proof. I've had all of the available whiskeys from Wayne Gretzky, and it really doesn't get any more Canadian than a whiskey from the great one. But is the whiskey any good? And I have to say, all of the other whiskeys are very wine finish forward for me. But this one is, you're pretty much standard Canadian whiskey, but they take barrels that they've aged some whiskey in and they give it to a neighbor, I suppose, someone in Ontario, that ages their maple syrup in that for 4 months. Now, that would be some good maple syrup. And then they empty it and they return the casks back to, the Gretzky distillery, and then they put their whiskey back in there. And they don't say for how long. Just they return it to fill, and then the flavors of maple and oak join us. So this is a 40% whiskey. With all of that going on, I would hope they wouldn't color it, but I bet they have. And at 40%, because it doesn't say, I would also assume that this is chill filtered. So it's filtered, likely colored. It's finished in an odd cask, maple cask, which is on the border of flavored whiskey for me. And if you're a longtime viewer of the channel, I really don't like flavored whiskey. I love cocktails, so go ahead and do it then. I just don't like it in the bottle. But let's try this whiskey, see what we get, and if this is a winner to have at Thanksgiving dinner with your friends on Monday. It is a very sweet nose, no shocker. Of course maple syrup, but it's that brown cooked molasses edge of maple syrup. Yeah, maple syrup for me is usually a higher sweetness, almost a thin sweetness, but in this case it's maple syrup. If I were to dig around past that, you fall into some vanillas and caramels. A little bit of alcohol in the nose. Excuse me. But right back into maple sugar candies. Like it's sweet and it's mapley. Let's try it on the palate. Cheers. It's a lovely sweet whiskey. Thankfully, I find that a lot of that wine finish crayon wax note is gone. Still a little coating, and so it's like a dark amber maple syrup. That pit B run, like not that nicer stuff, the darker stuff, and now we have thrown it on pancakes. There's a bit of butter on in there. I'm sorry, I actually like the flavor of this whiskey, and I feel like I shouldn't, because I've said so many times how much I'm not a big fan of flavored whiskey. Now, it is too sweet for me, and it is not what I would reach for if I just want to relax with a whiskey. But if I was just pouring some nice drinks for folks, I would even put it over ice, even though it's only 40%, in the sense that it is easy to drink. It has welcoming flavors. I mean, almost that note of pancake is more than, like, it's maple syrup, it's butter, it's a bit of oak, which is kind of like, when the pancake's a little bit burnt on the pan, not burnt, but you know what I mean. They pick up that pan flavor, and goodness, this is like pancakes on a pan. So, my thoughts are, what a fun idea. And I don't have any, but I have had Cabot Trail and what's the other one? Whiskeys that have had maple syrup added to them. This is less sweet than those. So while very sweet, it is a whiskey sweetness, really. And then the flavors of maple aren't as pronounced as either of those two. Man, I'm blanking on the second one there. And those are okay if you're really into liqueurs, in my mind. This is still a whiskey. It can say, hey, yeah, there's a lot of unique finishing with a maple cask here, but it is still a Canadian whiskey, which naturally for me tends to be pretty sweet too. Corn sweetness forward. Is there rye in here? Better try another sip. Hard to get at the rye in here. If there is any, it really feels like a corn whiskey. So it's got a lot of that butter sweetness. And then, of course, I just keep saying it, but that's what it is, finished in maple cask. So, I've actually stuck with it for a while. I've given some samples to some very good friends of mine who aren't whiskey fans, but I thought, well, maybe they might want to try it. And yeah, I think it would be fun to have in a different drinks if you were offering people at an event like Thanksgiving. Now I know in Alberta anyways, we've been reduced to 10 vaccinated people, so that's pretty tough. But either way, if you're getting together with friends and it's a Canadian celebration, I think this actually isn't that far wrong. Star value, look, 3.5 is generous for me because it is so sweet and so flavored, but I think I like it more than their red cask. And I didn't mind their red cask. It just has that waxy crayon note I can't get rid of. This is kind of good. I like it. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I'll try to shoot at least 1 or 2 more before Canadian Thanksgiving, so you've got an idea of maybe what to bring home. I hope, again, you're well this weekend and really going into next week as well. I hope fall finds you healthy and finds a positive turn in work and in society. I hope we can just get back to working together, solving some other problems as opposed to fighting around how we should solve them. You guys, thanks for joining me. Take care.